You may be seated. Our third teen speaker, we've been wowed so far by two, and you're going to be wowed by the third as well. I love to invite up Alexa Schwartz, who went on a trip to Israel this summer to tell us all about that amazing experience.
Hi, I'm Alexa Schwartz, and I'm a senior in Kehillah High. Kehillah High is our citywide supplemental Jewish education program for students in grades 8 through 12. Each year, students have a different immersive travel experience to look forward to that fits into a broader 5-year experience of a Kehillah High student. It had always been a goal of Kehillah High leadership to develop and execute a biennial Israel trip. The trip would be open to all rising 11th and 12th graders in the greater Houston area enrolled in a supplemental Jewish education program. It took years of planning and collaborating to pull together a jam-packed itinerary. The Israel trip would allow us to build a personal connection to Israel and fully develop a mature relationship with the country. I was lucky enough to be one of the 32 participants of the inaugural Kehillah High Israel trip this past summer. It was definitely the highlight of what had otherwise been a very challenging year. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I was nervous about traveling there in the midst of not only COVID, but with the attacks and threats from surrounding countries. But when we landed and I caught my first ever glimpse of the Holy Land, all of that changed. I embraced my roots and made a connection with the land and the people of Israel. I hope this connection is never lost and only strengthened over time. Whether it was talking with a stranger, trying a new food, or exploring a new city, I was immersing myself with the land, culture, and everything else in between. I would like to share a personal anecdote from one of the most impactful experiences during the 3-week trip. 5 pounds of sugar. That is how much a Jew's life was worth to some in the time of the Holocaust. I learned this truth at the Yad Vashem Museum in Jerusalem. I was moved by the stories that were told, as I am every time I walk through the Holocaust Museum here in Houston. But what made Yad Vashem so special was that we were given a new perspective. We always say that 6 million Jewish lives were lost in the Holocaust, but it was really one Jew, and one Jew, and one Jew, and so on. They all had lives that mattered. They had names, not just a tattooed number. They had families, friends, and futures that could have changed the world as we know it. But all of this was wiped away and lost forever. The least we can do now is remember their names and their stories. We as Jews all have a duty to all who were lost. We must share their stories through the generations and ensure they are never forgotten. I believe that Yad Vashem gave me an important perspective on the world and our history that everyone should be able to experience. Through the entirety of the trip, there were fun activities and serious ones, but they were impactful all the same. Along with, but not limited to Yad Vashem, our group was able to experience hiking Mount Masada to see the sunrise, water activities in the Sea of Galilee, many shopportunities, as our guide Yaakov would say, sleeping in the Bedouin tents, camel rides, sightseeings, a diverse amount of speakers from all different backgrounds, and much more. Going with the group that I did definitely affected the experience as well. We'd all learned together prior to the trip and carried our learnings with us. Thank you to Kehillah High and the many generous and local and national donors who made this trip possible. And I hope many others after our group have the opportunity to experience this for years to come. In addition, teens from 8th through 12th grade should consider enrolling in Kehillah High to learn more about Israel, Judaism, and much more. The cherry on top being able to participate in this amazing trip. Gamar Chatima Tova, everyone.
הטוב כי לא כל רחמך ואמרכם כי לא תמוך עשליך מעולם כי